Hello and welcome to the Pedders Suspension and Breaks Outer East Football Netball Show, brought to you by Gameface. I'm Aidan Miller, and once again alongside me in the studio is Steph Barkers. Good afternoon, Steph.
Good afternoon, Aidan. We're at episode 10. Hard to believe. And obviously, long weekend this weekend, so a lot of our teams had byes. But in saying that, we still have so much going on in today's show.
We most certainly do. We're going to bring you all the latest news from across our competition.
Ones to watch is back, of course. We highlight some top performers for the season so far.
That's a match day interviews from the weekend with Alexandra's Ellie Hedger, who played her 100th game, as well as Will Stewart, who kicked 6 goals. Plus a chat with Tim Cook, the National Program Manager for one of our mental health and wellbeing partners, outside the locker room.
More fantasy, netball and football. This week we choose our centre for netball and our centre lines for our footy teams.
And of course, a huge thank you to Pedders Suspension and Breaks, our partner for the Outer East Football Netball Show for season 2025.
Well, making news this week, there is plenty to talk about. First and foremost, though, we'd like to shout out Powtown's Terry Walker, who played game 400 in our competition on Saturday. So Terry's played at both Warburton Millgrove and Powtown, and his list of achievements is a long one. At Warburton Millgrove, he's been a premiership player in 2000 and 2006. He's won 6 senior best and fairest, 2 under-18s best and fairest, and is a life member. At Powtown, he's won a reserves best and fairest, and for our competition overall, he's been a league reserves best and fairest winner and is also a life member. It's a huge effort. He got to play game 400 on the weekend alongside 6 of his family members, with 7 walkers in Powtown side on Saturday. Congratulations, Terry. That is absolutely massive.
Incredible achievement for sure. I would also like to congratulate Mount Evelyn's Ebony Tucker, who debuted for the Eastern Rangers on Sunday against the Calder Cannons. Eb has been a part of our interleague program in previous years. She's a Mount Evelyn premiership player and has worked incredibly hard with the Rangers. Well done, Eb. We're so proud of you.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Eb. So good to see some of our players debuting this season. We've had quite a few. Last but certainly not least, we have a couple of offers from a few of our partners that we wanted to run over. So first and foremost, if you're looking for a medal for any of our theme rounds, please reach out to All Trophies and Ultimate Awards. They can customise medals for our upcoming Sockets M&D round, and any proceeds made from that will be donated to Fight M&D.
Watchman Wines also have an offer for the King's birthday weekend with up to 75% off selected wines from today until the 9th of June. Why not book lunch, sip and browse this long weekend?
Absolutely. Sounds like a good long weekend to me. Time now for ones to watch, and this week our first one to watch is Georgia Gessler from Alexandra Football Netball Club, who was their goal shooter on the weekend.
Yeah, she's been their goal shooter for quite a while, Steph, at least since I can remember being a part of the competition. She's their leading goal scorer this season with 152 goals, and she's always quite dominant up front. Pairs really well with Ellie Hedger, we did mention her in the show, played her 100th game, so having a really good season once again.
Absolutely. We also couldn't go past Lachlan Nankervis, who had a really good game again on the weekend, Alexandra's ruck.
Yeah, most certainly, Steph. We're talking 22 disposals, 39 hit-outs, 2 goals. He was absolutely fantastic. And just across the season, he's averaging 31 hit-outs a game, 5 of those to advantage, 9 clearances, 7 score involvements, and he's ranked elite in all of those stats. So he's having an incredible 2025 as Lucky Nankervis.
Absolutely. All right. And last but not least, Jess Okapinti from Upway Tacoma. Couldn't go past Jess. She kicked 2 goals on the weekend, but as we know, she's quite a prolific goal kicker in that side. Also, she was our league best and fairest last season, and she's continued that form into this season. Always one to watch for me, Jess Okapinti.
Hard to go past for sure.
Time now for our Yarra Valley Water Juniors Corner, and first and foremost we wanted to congratulate Wesburn JFC, who are our latest club to join the Women and Girls Charter. So their club actually had their first ever girls team 10 years ago in 2015, so it's great to see the club involved with this initiative and with a commitment to continue to champion women and girls at the club.
Our Junior Player of the Week is Sophie from Warelic Junior Football Club. Sophie's a good midfielder who holds her position well. She always is available for the outlet pass and drove the ball forward on numerous occasions.
That's awesome. Well done, Sophie. And last but certainly not least, congratulations to our 17 and under and 15 and under teams who represented OEFN at the Netball Victoria Association Championships on Sunday. So the 15 and unders won 3, drew 1 and lost 4, and 17 and under won 3 and lost 4. We are super proud of you guys, and you've done an incredible job representing us. Well, we don't have a match of the round preview for this weekend because obviously everyone has the bye this weekend. So hope everyone enjoys their long weekends. But we wanted to reflect on our tips from last week, Alexandra and Yay. So you got both correct because you tipped Alex for both.
Yep.
And I only got the netball correct because I tipped Yay for the footy.
Yep.
Let's talk about the matches. We'll start off with the netball. I feel like Alex, outside of maybe the first quarter where it was very close, only a goal in it, Alex kind of ran away from the second quarter.
They did, although Yay did make it quite competitive in the last quarter. You got to give them credit because it was about 10 goals at three-quarter time. They only went down by 6, but they left their run a little bit too late, unfortunately. As mentioned, Georgia Gesler was really good. Caitlin Haggis really good through the mid-court as well. Ellie Hedger, I thought, was quite prolific as well in her 100th game, really stood up to the occasion. So... And it was an important win for Alexandra. They stay in touch with the top 5. They've still got a little bit of work to do. There's still a couple of wins out, but it was a really important game for both teams if they want to try and stay alive in season 2025. So I think just in general, just getting the 4 points was important. So and they did that. So that's all they can really ask for at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk on the footy now. So obviously, I tipped Yay, and I guess at the time I expected they would have their full side.
Oh, excuses, Steph. Here we go.
No, I'm not using an excuse.
Yes, you are.
The captain, Patrick Evans, also said that we can't use injuries as an excuse. We need to have the depth and things like that. But obviously, Blake Sealy out, Jack Rennick's out, Corbin Sutherland out. A few of those guys were laid outs as well.
I think Corbin was meant to be. I think Corbin wasn't.
Corbin wasn't going to play, but then they had Blake and Jack drop out, and I think once Ben Sandels went down in the forward line as well, and then not having Blake in the ruck, they just seemed a little bit lost and really struggled when it went inside 50 to hit a target. And as we said, the foot skills were probably just not what they would have.
I don't want to sound too critical, but I think Yay would understand. I think their ball use was just wasn't up to standard, and they just couldn't really get any passages of play going because of that. The injuries certainly didn't help, as you say, Steph. They really couldn't get first use in the middle because they didn't have their main ruckman in there. Lockie Nankervis was absolutely dominating, and just I think. Yeah, that start, Will Stewart kicking 4 goals in the first 6 minutes, I think it really set the tone for the day. They did rally a couple of times, but I think it was Alex's day really from the outset. And just like the netball, really important. They are actually in the top 5, so it's really important just that they can stay in there. They do have Belgrave up there in a couple of weeks, which is a bit of a 50-50, but certainly a winnable game. And after a bit of a slow start for Alex, they might just be back in the finals contention now.
It's interesting because Adam and I did the pre-match interviews. Obviously, we had a chat to Lachlan Nankervis. We had a chat to Patrick Evans from Yay, and both teams sort of said they don't feel like they're out of contention, but they do feel like their execution probably hasn't been what they would have wanted. And they don't want to change the wheel. They want to stick to their game plan. They just want to execute it a lot better. And I think we saw that from Alex definitely. Even though Yay had all the injuries, that's not to say that Alex didn't play well. They absolutely
100%
did. They absolutely did.
Gained some much needed percentage as well, 58-point victory because it was a little bit low for Alex, so they get that up there. So that was also quite important as well. Yeah,
will help them in the back half of the year, definitely. So, it makes the ladder interesting. As you say, they remain in the top 5 and, Yay has a bit of work to do now, unfortunately.
They do have as you say, the season's definitely not over, but it is a big hill to climb, I think, coming back from 1 and 6.
So obviously we don't have any of our normal matches happening this weekend, but if you are looking to catch some footy action, our junior interleague squads are playing tomorrow at Somerville and Rye against MPJFL, and on Monday at Kilsyth Recreation Reserve and Mount Evelyn against SEJ. So see our socials for the times of those matches. But if you want some footy action, there is still some games happening.
Yes, no, exactly right.
All right, without our match of the round preview, we thought we'd still do a little bit of analysis. So we're going to look through some of the ladders. Aidan, I want you to take us through some of the surprises that you think have happened so far this season.
Yeah, no, most certainly, Steph. So we might start off with Premier Division footy. And I think one of the big surprises, particularly early on in the season, was Hillsville. Started the year 4-1. They've dropped off a little bit form-wise the last couple of weeks, although they've had a couple of harder tests against sides like Alinda Fernie Creek against Wandon, although probably a disappointing draw against Officer, a team I think they would have probably backed themselves into beat given form. But just to come up from Premier Division and to be currently 4th on the ladder, they're 4 wins, 3 losses and a draw. Percentage is a little bit low at 91.8. So that's probably something they need to work on a bit in the back half of the season. Wandon doing just as well as I think we thought they would, or maybe even better, really. They've been incredible, 8-0. Alinda Fernie Creek have certainly taken a bit of a step up. We certainly thought they would play finals, but to be 6-2 with a really strong percentage of 145.9 is really quite incredible. Some of the teams have disappointed probably a little bit. I'd probably say, I think probably Upweight Tacoma and Mount Evelyn. I think there were 2 teams who recruited quite well in the off-season. I think there was definitely a bit of talk coming in, and and they're certainly not out of it. They're both 3-4-1 with Upwey Tacoma just higher on the ladder in terms of percentage, 88.4 compared to Mount Evelyn's 83.4. So there's still time, but those two teams I think certainly probably haven't started the season as well as they would have liked. Even Monbulk, who are sitting in 5th, I think they're doing a pretty good job at 4-4. They, started last year quite poorly, so they're kind of riding that second half of the year's form and momentum a bit into this year, which is quite good. And then we take a look at Premier Division Netball. I certainly thought probably going into this season it was going to be one of Mount Evelyn or Wandon, and that probably reads pretty true. Mount Evelyn currently undefeated, 8-0. Wandon just behind them at 7-1. Although Mount Evelyn certainly do look like they've got a little bit of a gap on the rest of the competition. The closest team getting to them was Wandon with a 10-goal loss, and then Emerald and Monbulk, who are currently 3rd and 4th. I think Emerald was a 13-goal loss. Monbulk, it was a 17-goal loss. So Mount Ev looking quite strong. Emerald has certainly impressed me though as well, 3rd on the ladder. They were 5th last year, and a bit like Hills, although they came up last year into Premier Division, but they've been really good since they've come up. And I was a little bit apprehensive about them losing Kayla Lanting. I mean, that's just so much firepower in that goal circle gone, but they've really made it work nonetheless. So really impressive of them to be 3rd on the ladder, and I certainly think they could go quite deep into finals. Rory Alec have really actually impressed me as well. I think they were 3rd last, or maybe even 2nd last year, and they're currently sitting in the top 5. They do have a really hard block of games coming up though against Mount Evelyn, Wandon, and then Emerald. So that's going to be a really good test for them. But if they can at least get maybe one win out of those 3, they're currently 5-3. They could be 6-5 and also prove that they can do it against some of the stronger teams in the comp and probably prove themselves as a genuine top 5 team. Maybe one team has been slightly disappointing. Again, probably Upwey Tacoma. They just missed out on finals last year, and with a few teams leaving this year, I thought this might have maybe been an opportunity for them to potentially jump up. Again, season not over, but at 2-6 with a percentage of 83, probably not going to be so easy. So that's how Premier Division's looking. Heading over to Division 1 Women's, Mount Evelyn who've come into the competition, they've just been unbelievable. 6-0, absolutely flying. Probably one of the risers up. Upwey Tacoma have jumped into 2nd. I've been quite impressed with them, 5-2.
They recruited really well over the off-season, and I think that's helped a lot. And I know they had quite a few injuries last year as well. And when I was speaking to Alex Bantock, the captain, in round 1, she was saying, my aim, because I was so injured last year, is just to stay on the park and then to make use of all our new recruits, and I certainly think they've done that well. So
most certainly, Steph. Probably some of the disappointing ones, probably the 2 grand finals, to be perfectly honest. Pakenham have really kind of, respectfully, they've really kind of fallen away at 1-5. I mean, again, there's still a decent portion of the season left to go, but probably not how you'd expect the premiership defence to go. Hillsville do sit inside the top 4, but 4-3. Belgrave are only just a win behind them, so they certainly probably want to get things motoring a little bit more in the second half of the year. Heading over to Division 2 Women's, Warby Wesburn, a little bit like Mount Evelyn in Div 1, absolutely flying. They've been so dominant. Again, recruited really well, getting players like Scarlett Henderson, who obviously couldn't play for Monbulk this season, so that's worked out really well for them. Then you've got the Woods sisters as well, so they're looking really good. Wandon have definitely been one of the big rises, didn't even play finals last year, but they're definitely the clear 2nd seed, so they're looking really quite strong. And even Thornton Eldon, a lot of pressure on those girls because they're really kind of holding the club together at the moment with no men's footy and netball, but they're currently sitting inside the top 4 with a 4-2 record, so that's how Div 2 Women's are shaping up. And I think the most interesting division across footy and for netball has to be Division 1, because I think we probably thought after the Pakenham Yarra Glen game for both the netball and the footy, the Pakenham were probably the clear front runners. But now the whole, I think, race has just been blown wide open with the results from the weekend, with Warby winning by 66 points over Pakenham in the footy, and then 18 goals in the netball. So absolutely incredible. Definitely
a statement, that's for sure, yeah.
No, most certainly. And then you've got, so we look at the top 3 in Div 1 footy, Seville 7-0 with a percentage of 235, Warby Millgrove 6-1 with a percentage of 286, Pakenham 3rd with a 6-1 record with a percentage of 240, and then we take a look at Div 1 netball, which is pretty much the same top 3. Seville undefeated, 247.6 is their percentage. Pakenham with a percentage of 250 and a win-loss record of 6-1, and then Warby with a 6-1 record and a percentage of 231. Some of the surprises, I think Yarra Glen, I mean, they certainly recruited well, but I certainly didn't think we expected them to go quite this well. They're currently 5-2 with a healthy percentage of 125. After going really well last season, probably Yay and Belgrave have been 2 slightly disappointing ones, but Belgrave have certainly turned the form around a little bit in the last couple of weeks with a couple of wins. As mentioned, they will play Alexandra up there in a 50-50 game, so really important for them and for Alexandra to try and keep their seasons alive. One of them will be 3-5, the other will be 4-4. And then looking at the netball, one of the surprises, Yarra Junction doing really quite well, and they've got a couple of winnable games in Yea and Powelltown coming up, so they're 4-4 at the moment with a percentage of 89. They could potentially be 6-4 if they can convert those two games into wins. And no real surprise or disappointments, I'd say, from Div 1 netball, but that is pretty much what it's looking like heading into the middle of the year.
Wow, that's definitely a great insight. I definitely, Warburton Millgrove beating Pakenham in both the football and the netball, I think makes things really interesting because, as you said, when we were at that Pakenham Yarra Glen game, we were thinking, gee, is there anybody that is going to be able to best these guys? And Warburton Millgrove didn't just do it, they did it by quite a margin.
And it just blows the premiership race wide open, I think,
Absolutely.
in Div 1. Like, I right now could not sit there and confidently say that either of Seville, Warby or Pakenham would be the team that's going to win the flag, which is exactly what you want. You want it to be wide open. So, yeah, I think Div 1's definitely, across footy and netball, is the most exciting division, I think, at the moment.
Absolutely, I'd agree with you.
Since 1950, Pedders have understood that every customer's journey is different, but our solution remains the same, to get you where you want to go as safely as possible. We believe it's not just the destination that matters, but also the journey, and we are committed to creating better journeys for everyone.
All right, let's jump over to our first guest now. It was a match day interview and you had a chat with Ellie Hedger after game 100 on Saturday.
Well, I'm joined by Ellie Hedger after Alexandra's round 8 win over Yea and also in their 100th game. Ellie, congratulations on such a fantastic achievement. Really tight contest it was. You did run away with a bit in the third, but Yea really came hard at you in the last quarter. How were you able to wrestle back the momentum and hold on?
I think just going back to the basics and making sure we're hitting circle edge. We've got our structures, just literally the simple things like making sure someone's got over the line and someone's making the second phase. So, yeah, I think just going back to the basics is what really got us out of there and then sticking together,
Pretty high-scoring game, so a pretty busy game for you attackers. How have you pulled up?
Yeah, it's always a tough game against Yea, so it's nice to play against them. But yeah, I'm very, very worn out in a nice day as well. So, but yeah, it was a great game.
How important was it getting a win heading into the long weekend and also just to stay in touch with the top 5? Yeah,
it is actually really important. We are fighting for that 5th position, so it was really nice. And then obviously special day as well. So, yeah, I mean, altogether, it's great to play with the girls every week and, yeah, just keep us in contention with the finals. So, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Georgia Gesler? Because I know you played with her for a long time in your time at Alexandra. And did you feel like she gave you a few more opportunities to score today on the special occasion?
No, I think I actually love passing to her. We worked on it at training to really working on her holding. So it was nice to be able to obviously feed her. Like, I'd rather feed than shoot sometimes. So it takes pressure off me. So, yeah, it was really nice. I love playing with her and we have played together for a very, very long time. So it's nice to have that connection as well.
Yep. What have been some of the more special memories across the 100 games with Alex?
Played with my auntie actually just behind the camera. Thank you for that. So started my senior career in B grade with my auntie. So that was really special. And then just having like all my family obviously still part of the club. And then, I think just getting to know all the girls and having a consistent local team as well. So that's nice as well. So,
Ellie, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations again on such a fantastic achievement.
Thank you very much.
Our next special guest was Will Stewart, also from Alexandra. Had a chat to him after his 6-goal haul, including an incredible 4 goals in the first 6 minutes of the game.
Well, I'm joined by Will Stewart, Alexandra's full forward, after their dominant display in the round 8 match of the round, and Will must be very happy with that performance.
Yeah, mate, it's always good to get a win. We had a bit of a slow start to the year, so nice to have a couple of wins now for the boys. So, yeah, mate, happy with it.
What were some of the messages coming into the game?
We just wanted to start well. We've had a few games that we sort of just got off to a bit of a slow start, so it was nice to kick a few early and obviously put them on the scoreboard and, be accurate in front of goal as well.
Had a really good game yourself today, mate. 6 goals, including 4 goals in the first 6 minutes. It just seemed to be happening for you today.
Yeah, sometimes it happens that way. It just sort of, it falls in your lap and then you make your own luck. So, no, I was happy with the performance and boys did well.
Yep. Really important that you maintain your spot within the top 5, your third win. How important was it just getting that win to just keep a bit of breathing room from the other teams around you?
Yeah, 100%. We've obviously got the bye next week, so yeah, we're pretty focused on getting the win, and then boys can obviously rest up, have a week off, and I don't even know. I haven't quite looked ahead, but yeah, we'll see who we've got when we come back from the bye.
You've got Belgrave who haven't played yet this season, so I guess that's the team you're going to have to research a bit.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, no, we had some good games against them last year, so it should be a good hit out.
Yep, and always probably good to get a win against a local rival in Yea, who did get you last time, so good to probably get one back on them.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of cars here and a lot of people came out, so probably the biggest crowd we've had in some time. So, yeah, hopefully they got some money through the gate for the club and now we'll put some back behind the bar.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for joining us, mate, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Unreal. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Well, our in-studio guest this week is Tim Cook, who is the National Program Manager at Outside the Locker Room, one of our mental health and wellbeing partners. And I do just want to put a trigger warning before this interview. It obviously talks about some pretty heavy topics. So yeah, please just use some discretion as to whether you want to watch this one or not. Well, I am here today with Tim Cook from Outside the Locker Room. Thank you so much for coming in and being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you. I feel like lots of our community is very familiar with Outside the Locker Room, but just in case there's anyone out there who isn't, can you tell us a little bit about your charity?
Yeah, absolutely. So Outside the Locker Room was founded in 2015 by Jake Edwards, so a former Carlton player. Essentially, he'd experienced his own mental health challenges whilst playing. And when he stepped away from football, he really wanted to create an environment that, or a program that really encouraged an open environment. So the charity itself has been around for almost 10 years. I was looking at the numbers today. I think we've done just under 1,800 sessions to about 80,000 participants. So it's going quite well in that sense. But I was actually talking to someone else about this the other day. I think that those numbers aren't enough, and we're probably talking a bit about why that might be the case a bit later. But the program itself, it offers 8 different content pieces, which I know we'll get into in a bit as well, with mental health being the main one that we run. But we are predominantly run in sporting clubs, our grassroots sporting clubs, but we also work with schools and workplaces as well. The sporting clubs, I'd say our bread and butter. That's something where we love. The people involved in the organisation, majority come from sport and also come from lived experience with mental health. So they can see the role that being a part of a sporting community can play in fostering your positive mental health. And that's certainly the case for me as well.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned the couple of different education workshops you have. Our team did the mental health session a few weeks ago. We felt like we got a lot out of it. It was great. You ran that one for us. But can you tell us about the different workshops that you do have?
For sure. And I think the big thing for our program is that we're very heavily focused on identifying, approaching and supporting a challenge. And we understand as an organisation that those challenges will be different from community to community that we go to. So when we go out and run these sessions, they're very interactive. We do rely on a bit of storytelling just to show some vulnerability and create some trust in the room. But we also don't go in there and say, this is what you should be looking for, because we understand, we work a lot with our regional and rural communities, and we understand that the signs and symptoms that they may be going through are completely different to what us who live in the metro side of Melbourne would be going through. So we certainly understand that, and we get out there. So mental health, as I mentioned, but we've also got gambling and drugs and alcohol, which has been pretty prevalent of late with sporting communities, in particular football and netball clubs, the gambling piece and the drug and alcohol one, which has been pretty interesting. Inclusion and respect, wellbeing and lifestyle. We've got resilience, cyber safety. No, I'm forgetting one.
That's all right.
But yeah, it's really, I suppose, looking at a well-rounded approach for all wellbeing challenges that you may be going through. And in each of those challenges, your community, whether it be a school, a workplace or a sporting club, it really plays a big part in supporting you through those challenges. And that's what we just try and do. We understand that, when we go out there, we'll talk later probably a little bit about what do you want people to get out of it. And I think it's just that understanding that, you are the support, not the solution. So you're not going to solve what someone's going through, and that's completely okay. It's just that you can support them, and how can you support them? It's by doing X, Y, and Z, and that's what we try to cover through the sessions.
Absolutely. So what is the ideal outcome from your point of view once an organisation or a club's engaged with the session? What do you hope people learn or take away?
Yeah, we've probably changed a bit over the journey. I think at the start it was very much around identifying signs and symptoms, whereas now we've really got a positive approach to mental health, and I think that might make us a little bit different from other organisations in the fact that we're very big on promoting the good stuff. So, we do an activity at the start. What do you do for fun? What makes you happy? And we try and get you to identify, or the participants to identify what it is that actually brings them joy. And, it can be something like coffee in the morning, it can be like walking the dog or kicking the footy or, playing basketball, whatever it is, but everyone's going to have their own one, and that's completely okay. So whatever that is, do more of it. And what we do by doing that as well is we get people to share that. So all of a sudden you create connection, because I might not know that you like hockey, but now I do. So those type of, interactions there that you have with one another, people that you see, 3 times a week if you play sport with them, but potentially 5 days a week if you're working with them, just to try and create a bit more connection. And so, I understand that if you're having a really tough day, maybe I send you a hockey meme. Because all of a sudden, that's something I know you enjoy. So I think by creating that connection and that positivity and those ability, and I suppose giving people an environment to talk around the positive things around mental health, can really be a really big sign of helping people identify when was the last time you did that? Oh, well, I haven't kicked the footy in ages. I haven't played golf in ages. Oh, but I really like that. Why haven't I? And so maybe that, one, gives you the idea to potentially focus on that more, but also if I'm a really good friend of yours and I know that, or don't even have to be a good friend, but if I know you really like golf and you haven't played golf in a while, then maybe I invite you down to the driving range or something like that. So it's really about connection for us. And again, yes, identifying, approaching and supporting challenges, absolutely. But it's about trying to get that positivity into our lives, because the actual fact is we don't do enough of that, and I don't think we celebrate that enough. And a real good example is obviously the tall poppy syndrome that we see a lot here as Australians. And if I'm going really well, I can't tell you that.
No, exactly.
I'm only just starting to be able to tell you if I'm having a tough time, which is great that we're able to open up. But if I come in and start telling you everything that's going well, you think I'm bragging and a bit arrogant and a bit up myself and stuff like that. So that's kind of a really interesting approach, and I like to tackle that, and I like to promote the fact if people are doing well, why not celebrate that? So if I'm up here and you're down here, and life for me is going well, but you're struggling, which is completely fine. But maybe you could lean on some of the things I'm doing. Maybe you don't realise that I'm meditating every morning, I'm having an ice bath every day, I'm exercising 4 or 5 times a week. So that ability to be able to share what we're doing as well. But again, that just comes back to connection. So that's really what it's about. It's about getting people in the same room, and connecting with one another.
Yeah, totally. And for everyone out there who doesn't know, I mentioned in our session that I loved ice hockey and I loved ice hockey memes. So feel free to send me some. We'll enjoy it. When a club or organisation engages with one of your workshops, they also get access to the OTLR app.
Yes.
There's a bunch of resources on there and other things, but can you tell us a little bit about the benefits?
Yeah, for sure. And I think for someone who has gone through my own mental health challenges and been at that point, you call your rock bottom, your lowest of lows, when you're in those spaces, it's really, really hard to think clearly about where the support is. And I highlight in the sessions, but this education wasn't around when I was younger. So growing up, I first experienced my first signs and symptoms around about 19 years old. Now, then I didn't know where to look for the support. I didn't know what was available. And certainly when I was in my darkest times, the last thing that went through my mind was to jump on Google and type in mental health support. So the idea behind this app is that it is a one-stop shop for all things mental health. So you've got access to, there's mindfulness check-ins, there's wellbeing check-ins, but there's also direct links to various support services, Lifeline, Beyond Blue. If you're going through gambling challenges, gambling supports. If it's alcohol, drug and alcohol support. So it's really a one-stop shop. But we also have a partnership in there with Redefine Life, which is just a local service in Boronia. But they are a low-cost telehealth counselling provider. So they basically, you go out there, fill an expression of interest. I think they're $45 a session, but it's only a week to get into. Now, we've been to a lot of rural and regional towns and stuff, and they're telling us that for them to get into any support, whether it be a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a counsellor, it's sort of 16 to 20, 25 weeks. So it's a long time. So for us to be able to offer that to people if they are needing it, only a week to get in is quite good.
It is quite good, because I know even from a Metro point of view, sometimes they've been like, we have an appointment in 3 months. I'm like, 3 months?
That's not enough. Yeah,
I need help
it's too
now.
far away. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that piece as well, like we're very collaborative, so we don't mind working and sharing the space. I don't think there can be one organisation that can do it all. I think we all have our own strengths, and that's awesome that we all do. And it's about promoting one another. If someone does need support, really good example of this, obviously with the Redefine Life, they're fantastic, but we work pretty closely with Standby Postvention Suicide Support. So if a sporting club or a school or a workplace comes to us and says that they unfortunately have had a suicide in their organisation or community, sometimes I suppose the knee-jerk reaction is to get us in for a mental health session, whereas we're not trained postvention support. So we generally speaking probably wait about 4 to 6 months, probably around 6 months before we would go in and run a session, just due to the triggering content and the nature of it. But we very much get in contact with Standby straight away, and we send them in for a grief support session. So again, they're fantastic people that obviously have a very hard job. They go in at crisis time and can somehow support a whole lot of people, and I don't know how they could do that, because we're very much preventative based, but they are postvention, and they're incredible. So we believe in the idea of collaborating with all these different organisations, because there's not a one size fits all in mental health, and that is completely okay. It'd just be pretty cool to see a whole heap of organisations continuing to collaborate with one another and not trying to own the space but share the space, because I think that's what's needed.
Yeah, I agree. All right, what made you personally want to get involved with Outside the Locker Room?
Yeah, good question. I formerly am an accountant, so I come from a numbers background. I was doing that for about 13 years. But whilst I was doing that, as I mentioned, I've had my own challenges. But Outside the Locker Room popped up on Instagram 6 years or so ago, and someone tagged me in one of the comments, said, I think you should do this, and they're looking for facilitators, so lived experience, people to go out, share their story, and run and facilitate the sessions. And I went and applied for that and got that, which was really cool. So I was doing that for a couple of years, and over the COVID sort of period, and then just after, and then a job opened up for Vic Program Manager, which was really cool. And I'm a creature of habit, so taking a pretty big risk to jump into a mental health charity when you've got a safe and secure job in accounting was pretty daunting and pretty scary. And it definitely came with a pay cut as well. But not that I didn't love accounting or the people that I was working with, I just felt like I could give a lot more back to the space of mental health, and really valued, I suppose, looked at my values, and it was around valuing the people and what I could give back. And again, people say when you find your purpose, it doesn't feel like you work a day in your life. You love your job, you don't work a day in your life and stuff like that, which is very much the case. But waking up every day and under, knowing that night I get to go out and speak to either a junior team or a senior team, which I absolutely love, sporting club, and potentially share my story and maybe help someone, that's a pretty cool feeling. So that's what drew me in, and I've been here for I think just under 3 years now, full time. On the national manager role now as well, which is cool.
Yeah, so awesome. As you say, even if you can sort of change one person's perspective or life, I feel like that's worth it, Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is Mates in March.
Yes.
So a campaign that you guys ran earlier in the year. First, tell us about that initiative, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff you've been doing lately.
Yeah. So Mates in March, it's our third year running it. It's basically a way to fundraise. First and foremost. We are a charity, and we're not funded, so that is a big component of it. But we basically just, and it was a brainchild of Todd Morgan, the CEO, but basically just try to create a challenge or something you could be doing throughout a period of time. And we really wanted to make, I suppose, something that you could go out and physically challenge yourself to, as well as mentally challenge yourself to, because at the end of the day, it's great to go for a big run and that kind of stuff, but there's also a mental aspect behind it. So it started a few years back. We started it by having about 9 different activities. So that might have been, I think it was like 90 push-ups a day, run 9K a day, that kind of stuff, throughout the month of March. But then last year, We worked it into nine days of 9Ks. So essentially it was run or walk 9Ks for only 9 days during the month. And again, really, really big success. It was fantastic. A lot of people doing it, which was really cool. But we sort of figured this year that, those that are around the number 9s, and the reason we use the number 9 is for the number of suicides per day in Australia. So 7 males, 2 females, and that's where that number 9 came from. And we really wanted to go away from that. And again, coming back to the fact that we are, very much putting ourselves around the positivity behind mental health. We basically used feedback that we'd had from sessions. So when we go out and run sessions and stuff, people tell us how they want to upgrade their life and that kind of stuff. And so what we did was we made it the upgrade challenge. So for this March, you had to do, if you wanted to jump on board, as well as fundraise, as I mentioned, but you had to do 150 minutes of exercise per week. For the month of March, you had to do 1 mindfulness activity per day. So that could be a little bit of breath work, yoga, meditation, journaling, whatever it may be. We wanted you to do 1 check-in per day with someone. So again, that's a text, it's a phone call, it's a catch-up. I'm a big texter, so I like to spread a lot of love that way. But then the other part of it as well, which is one thing we found very interesting about the feedback we get, is there was no smoking, drinking, vaping or gambling throughout the month, which I know a lot of people would have found very hard and very challenging doing it, which is probably a sign of where we're at as a society. But throughout all of that, we were getting some great feedback along the way and creating, a few little communities about people that were absolutely loving going through those challenges. And certainly around the alcohol and the gambling and stuff like that, and the smoking and vaping. So that was a pretty cool one to see a lot of people grow and through that month and have still not done it since then, which has been a pretty cool experience. But we very much celebrated the fact that, or promoted the fact that if you want to try giving up one of those things, use us as a reason, use this challenge as a reason. And even if it was just, I want to take a break from gambling, I still want to drink every weekend, that's fine. Like, still try something. Give one thing a crack. Even if it was just, I want to get into exercise, but I'm not ready to stop smoking. That's okay. That's completely fine. Just try one.
One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly right. We're not trying to, get rid of all the good things in life for you and that. But even if you just commit to one thing, and whether it was 1 check-in per day for a whole month, well, you're going to create a more connected community within yourself and connect better with your friends, which is fantastic. And if it's 1 mindfulness activity per day, you internally are going to feel better. So we really encourage, if you want to try the whole hog, absolutely. But if you just want to do 1 or 2 bits and pieces, that's completely fine as well. And take it at your own pace. But we're also here to support you from that as well.
Absolutely.
It was a great campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about yourself and Todd as well, because those that participated and donated were then able to challenge you guys to complete some activities. So I know you had a whole bunch of suggestions.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about some of the things that you two have done so far?
So we ran a little campaign probably 1 week with 1 week left, and we were just trying to get a few different suggestions on things that, again, as you said, Todd and I could challenge ourselves with. And it was a really good opportunity for a lot of local businesses to, gyms and recovery studios and stuff like that to try and promote themselves, which I thought was awesome. So it was, go for a 10K run, then have a 3-minute ice bath at our place, at our gym and stuff. So it was things like that. So we've done, which went really well. And so we were going to pick just 1 challenge to do, but we thought we'd do the whole lot. We'd do everyone that was there. And I think there's about 8 to 10 challenges. So there's been some pretty funny ones, some pretty good ones so far, and a couple of funny ones. So we've done a 10K run into a 5-minute ice bath. We've done a boxing class. Yes, at 1-2 boxing in Mitcham, and then followed up by the Mitcham Recovery Hub, which is
shout out
cool.
Ella Bayless.
Yes, Ella and Jared. Yes, we love them. That Mitch Jackson as well, give him credit because we're down at his gym. So we're doing a whole heap of things here. We've done a 1K swim. We've done one of my favourite ones so far was the pole dancing class. So that was a real tough one. We were over at Hyatt doing that, and you think you might be strong or anything like that. I've got horrible core strength. I actually was telling you last time I was in here, I think I did a hernia as a result of that ballet class. As a result of the pole dancing class. But an adult ballet class as well is one that's on the menu, and we've got that coming up. There's been a whole heap of different things, and the one that we're aiming to finish with, which one of my mates nominated, he said 100,000 steps in 24 hours. Now it's about 100 Ks realistically. So at this stage, we're probably planning for the 1st of August. Will be pending at the moment because, as I told you as I came in, I think I've done my ACL filling in for a football game on the weekend. But I'll still be aiming to try and do it, but it's going to be, at this stage, Friday the 1st of August, we'll be walking around the town. Invite anyone to come down and have a look and, get us through, because it's going to be jump in for a lap or two. The idea behind this walk as well, people were saying, why wouldn't you do it in the summer and stuff like that? And I think that the fact that we can do it, and honestly, I hope it's a cold and miserable day in August. It's going to deter a lot of people coming out. But in my mind, mental health can be fantastic. But when you're going through a tough time, it's not sunny, it's not warm, it's not comfortable. It's a very uncomfortable, lonely, dark situation, a dark place 100%. You find yourself in. So I really want to celebrate that fact and bring awareness to that fact. That's why we're doing it on a cold, miserable, wet day, and it's going to be hard and it's going to be dark, and we're going to have to rely on each other to get through, because that's exactly what you have to do when you're going through a mental health challenge. So we've got that component coming up, which will be very tough. So if you want to get on board, we'll reach out. We'll put some details to contact. But it's basically, I think we worked it out to be it's 25 to 35 laps of the town. I can't remember how much we worked it out to be, but there's opportunities to sponsor a lap. Come down and walk a lap with us. One of the things we're going to do as well is potentially put a thing on that if you donate, you can actually nominate a check-in call as well. So obviously, whilst we're walking around, we're going to have a lot of downtime. So we were going to use that time to potentially, you could either nominate a mate for us to check in on, or even yourself. Even if you just want to chew the fat for a little bit, that's absolutely fine as well. So we'll probably run with something like that, whether you can donate and we'll give you a bell, or if there's a mate you're really worried about but you're not really sure how to start that conversation, we can either talk to you about how to start it, or we'll call them ourselves. Because sometimes it is easier to speak to someone who you potentially don't know, and that's fine as well.
That's all I have for you. So thank you so much for being here. We're so appreciative to have you on the show. But if our clubs are interested in finding out more info or booking an education session, what's the best way to contact you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just reach me at tcook@otlr.org.au. You can hit our Instagram at OTLR. Just send us a message there and details, or reach out to yourself and the league, and you guys will pass it on to us as well. But we're more than happy to support absolutely anyone and help whoever we can in the process as well.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone to see this. And I hope that someone out there takes something from this, and maybe some more of our clubs book a session with Outside the Locker Room. Last but certainly not least, we have some more fantasy footy and netball. We will start off with our netball selections. We are choosing our centres today. Who have you gone with for yours?
Oh, plenty of brilliant choices, Steph. There's so many star players, star mid-quarters in our comp, but I have gone with Kayla Swindle of Mount Evelyn, of course. She does play the 23 and unders with the Hawks netball. Last year, she did make the VNL 23 and under team of the year. She made our Outer East team of the year as well, so she's an absolute star. And to be honest, Steph, I think this might be a slightly bold statement, but I think even despite the fact that Kayla's pretty well recognised as one of the gun players of our comp, I still think she's underrated, to be perfectly honest. I just don't think she quite gets the recognition that she deserves. And not only is she such a great mid-quarter, but she's also a proven goaler as well. She's played there for many years for Mount Ev. She's gone back into the mid-court this year with a few changes in personnel, and she's just moved back in there seamlessly. So Kayla was definitely my choice.
Absolutely fair. I think she's a great selection, and I do agree with you. She is definitely underrated. I couldn't go past Alana McGurgan.
No, absolutely fair. Yep.
She's obviously won our competition best and fairest for the last 2 seasons running. I think she's one of those ones that is a little bit of a quiet achiever. She just plays her role, gets the job done. And even when we said to her, you've had 2 league best and fairest when we interviewed her the other week, straight away she was like, well, it's my team around me that makes me look good. She was very much, a team environment, didn't take a lot of the credit. So, I think she's really strong. She obviously plays with Peninsula Waves in the VNL. Couldn't go past Alana.
No, most certainly. And one I think you have retained from last year as well.
Probably, because I really do think she's so great.
No, absolutely. Heading across to our women's footy now, I'll go off first. So we are looking at our on-ballers. Next up is women's footy. We are looking at our on-ballers for this week. First up, my ruck was Amber Drummond of Belgrave. She's one of the leading rucks in Div 1 Women. She's made the team of the week multiple times this season, been one of the leading players for Belgrave, and just as mentioned, one of the star rucks of the competition. So that's who I've gone with. Then my 2 on-ballers, Jess Hoskin of Mount Evelyn and Paisley Stock from Hillsville. Jess also made the team of the week multiple times this season, been a very strong performer in that dominant Mount Evelyn side, and Paisley Stock, of course, young gun, playing with the Eastern Rangers. Hedgers also had a couple of Team of the Week appearances, so that was my choices for women's footy.
Very strong selections, but I think that my team might hold up here against your team. I would actually love to see this battle happen in real life. So I've gone with Beth Kadara from Pakenham.
Yeah.
I think she's been a really strong ruck, but what I like about her too is she is versatile, so they can throw up forward if they need to as well. So I couldn't go past Beth. She's already made multiple teams of the week this year as well. Now, you took Jess Hoskin from Mount Evelyn.
Yeah, I did.
I've gone with her sister Katie.
We definitely didn't have a truce on this or anything like that, if that's what you think.
So I couldn't go past Katie. Last week she made not only the football team of the week, but also Mount Evelyn's netball team of the week. She's just a superstar. And then I also couldn't go past Piper Crimble from Woorollalek, who made team of the year last year, is still having a really strong season. And the reason I like Piper is because I can put her on ball, but I could also put her in defence as well. So she's another one of those versatile players that I could, throw around the ground a little bit if I needed to. So, yeah, those are my selections. And, oh, God, I would love to see that matchup.
Nah, definitely, Steph. It would be very interesting for sure who'd win out of the middle.
All right, let's go over to men's footy now. Your ruck.
Well, had him last year, and another player of retirement, Ben Ratton. I just, it's pretty self-explanatory. But I mean, this season he's averaging 37 disposals a game, 22 of those contested, 41 hitouts, including 6 of those to advantage, 13 clearances and 5 score involvements a game. He's won a bit like Alana McGurgan in Div 1 netball, in Div 1 footy. He's won he's won five BNF medals. You lose count, honestly. He's a superstar player. He's a great leader. He's a great person. So it was really hard to go past Benny. So that's my ruck. One of my ballers, Ewan Wadsworth from Emerald. He's having an incredible season. He's averaging 31 disposals a game at 66% disposal efficiency with 7 clearances, 5 tackles a game, and 6 marks as well. Looking at Nick Mendy then as well from Hillsville, also another leader as well, averaging 25 disposals this year at 72% disposal efficiency. 15 of those are contested with 6 clearances a game and 6 score involvements. So that is my on-ball brigade for the men's footy.
That is fair enough. Okay, well, I've gone with someone who has recently returned to our competition for my ruck, which is Riley Monkhorst from Woorollalek. Nice to see him back in the comp. I just couldn't go past him. I think he's a really great ruckman, someone who also played with Austin Smith at Mooralbark last season. And I do have Austin in my team, so I feel like they'll already have a bit of a dynamic there. I thought about that too. And then someone who I was really impressed with on the weekend actually was Mitch Parker from Alexandra. I thought he was really calm under pressure, and when he had the ball, he knew that he had that time. He was very collected, was able to lower the eyes, look inside 50. And I thought his kicks were like really piercing, you know what I mean? Like just straight on the chest of people. So,
good mix of contested and uncontested game, I think, as well. I thought,
So I was super impressed by him. So he gets my pick. And then Patrick Hoon from Warburton Millgrove. I'd have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure that he's maybe only missed out on like 1 team of the week so far this year. I feel like he's pretty versatile as well. So sometimes he's been playing a little bit up forward, sometimes in the midfield, can rotate around a little bit. But yeah, just couldn't go past him either. He's had an amazing season so far.
No, he's done very well, and definitely a player that Warby will be very happy to have back after a year at Montrose.
Absolutely.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all there is to talk about in the Pedders Suspension and Breaks Outer East Football Netball Show this week. Remember, if there's anything you'd like to see in the show, make sure you leave a comment down below. Steph, thank you again for joining me in the studio.
No problems at all.
For all the viewers out there, don't forget to get your game face on.